Okay, let's jump right into this deep dive. We're looking at something today that, honestly, when I first read about it in this article you shared, I thought, wait, can that really be true? It's a concept called VLP.
Right, VLP stands for Vigorous Intermittent Lifestyle Physical Activity. It's exactly what it sounds like, but maybe not how you picture exercise, you know?
Yeah, it sort of challenges a lot of what we think we know about needing, like, long workouts.
Right.
The source material we're digging into is this really insightful article that unpacks the whole idea.
Right.
And it presents some, well, pretty fascinating data on the potential health benefits.
It really does. It kind of flips the script on the whole you need 30, 60 minutes in a gym mindset that a lot of us have.
Absolutely. So our mission with this deep dive is to figure out what VLP actually is,
Mhm.
why the research behind it is getting so much attention, and probably most importantly, how this surprisingly powerful concept might actually fit into your busy life. And here's where it gets really interesting. The core idea here, backed by some pretty solid numbers we'll definitely get into, is that very short bursts of high-effort movement, just built into your normal day, could potentially lead to significant health benefits.
Yeah, including dramatically lower risks of serious disease.
Exactly. All without needing special gear or, dedicating huge blocks of time, which sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, but let's unpack it.
Okay, so let's start right there. VILPA, Vigorous Intermittent Lifestyle Physical Activity. Break that down for us. What does this look like on the ground in real life?
Well, think of it as intentionally injecting brief moments of high effort into the movements you're already doing throughout your day. It's vigorous, meaning you're really pushing yourself relative to your own capacity.
Right.
Intermittent, because it's just short bursts, not sustained. And lifestyle physical activity, because it's part of your normal routine, not a planned workout session.
So it's not like, okay, 3 p.m., time for my Vilbo session.
It's more spontaneous. Exactly right. It's unstructured, often unplanned. You see an opportunity, the stairs, a hill, and you take it. And the key, as this article really emphasizes, is it's brief, typically a minute or even less per burst.
A minute. Huh. That feels almost, well, too short to matter, doesn't it?
That's the surprising part. But the vigorous element is absolutely critical here. The source gives some great examples, actually.
Like what?
Like, charging up a few flights of stairs instead of automatically taking the lift. Or putting some real speed into your walk to catch a bus you see coming down the road.
Okay.
Or even picking up those heavy grocery bags and moving with real purpose and speed, like you're genuinely in a rush.
Oh, the grocery bag dash. I can totally picture that. It's
Yeah.
not just, ambling along with them. It's moving fast.
Right. It's about adding intensity or vigor to your life's natural movements. Contrast that with something like structured HIIT, high-intensity interval training. That's planned, often in specific workout blocks. Villet is more about finding those hidden opportunities for intensity scattered throughout your day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, you mentioned whether it actually does anything, if it matters. This is where the evidence presented in the article gets really compelling. It focuses quite heavily on a major study published in Nature Medicine back in 2022.
Okay, tell us about that one. Who did the research and who were they looking at?
It was researchers based at the University of Sydney, and they look at data from a huge group, over 25,000 adults. And crucially, these were people who reported that they did not participate in any structured exercise or sport.
Ah, so we're really looking at the impact of just their incidental movement here, not gym goers.
Exactly. They were tracking this incidental activity.
And what did they find when they looked specifically at these short, vigorous bursts within that daily activity?
This is really the headline finding from the study, the one the article highlights. Just 3 separate 1-minute bursts of vigorous activity spread throughout the day were associated with a 39% reduction in all-cause mortality risk.
Wait, 39% from 3 minutes total?
Right.
That's almost hard to process.
I know, it sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the association was even stronger when they looked specifically at deaths from cardiovascular disease, up to a 49% lower risk associated with those same 3 short bursts.
Wow. So doing something as simple as, say, power walking up a couple of flights of stairs a few times a day could potentially have that kind of impact on your long-term health.
That's what this data is strongly suggesting, yes. Now, the article is careful to point out, and it's really important we remember this was an observational study.
Right, correlation, not causation.
Precisely. It shows a strong association, a link, but it doesn't definitively prove that VLP caused the reduced mortality. However, the researchers used sophisticated methods, like accelerometers people wore, to track this incidental activity. The sample size, as we said, is massive, over 25,000, and the follow-up period was long-term. So while it's not proving causation, the evidence linking VLP to these positive health outcomes is considered incredibly robust and, frankly, quite compelling.
Okay, so the data is striking, even with that caveat. But let's get into the why. Why does this intensity seem to matter so much, even in such incredibly short bursts? The article talks about exercise intensity being this potent trigger for physiological change.
Yes, it's not just about moving, it's about moving hard, relatively speaking. When you push your system vigorously, even for just 60 seconds, you initiate some powerful responses in the body. The article lists several key benefits that really kick in at higher intensities.
Like improving your heart and lung fitness, your cardio fitness.
Exactly. High-intensity effort is a fantastic stimulus for improving your VO2 max. Think of VO2 max as the maximum amount of oxygen your body can effectively use during intense exercise. It's a really key indicator of your overall cardiovascular fitness.
Right.
Pushing hard, even briefly, trains your heart and lungs to become more efficient. And over time, a better VO2 max means less strain on your system just doing everyday things.
And it impacts your metabolism too, right?
Oh, big time. Vigorous activity can rapidly improve things like insulin sensitivity and how your body handles glucose, the sugar in your blood. This is crucial for maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, and it significantly reduces risk factors for things like type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome.
The article also mentions something about fat burn and EPOC. Is that right?
Yes, EP-flu. It stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. It's sometimes called the afterburn effect. Basically, when you do high-intensity work, your body has to work harder after you stop exercising to recover.
Ah.
It needs to use more oxygen to restore energy stores, rebalance hormones, that kind of thing. This slightly elevates your metabolism for a period afterward, leading to a little bit of extra calorie burn even once you're resting. While VILPA bursts are short, these intense efforts still contribute to that post-exercise effect.
So even just a minute of really intense stair climbing means your body's working a bit harder after you stop climbing.
Precisely. And there's more happening deeper inside. On a cellular level, it's impacting your mitochondria.
The cell powerhouses. I remember that from biology.
Yes, but maybe think of them like tiny engines inside your cells that convert the food you eat into usable energy, ATP. When you do vigorous activity, you're essentially demanding much more power from those engines, right?
Okay. Yeah.
This signals your body to make the existing mitochondria more efficient at producing energy, and really interestingly, also to build more mitochondria, more efficient. Numerous cellular engines mean better energy production throughout your body, which supports, well, everything your organs need to do.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense why improving them matters so much for overall health. And wasn't there even a brain benefit mentioned in the source?
Yes, there was. The article points out that high-intensity exercise, even these short VLP-style bursts, is linked to an increase in something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
BDNF. What does that do?
It's a molecule that plays a really key role in brain health. It supports the growth of new neurons, improves communication between existing brain cells, and it's been linked to better learning, memory, and even mood regulation. So these short bursts aren't just helping your body, they're potentially giving your brain a boost too.
Wow. This really does make you look sideways at the standard exercise guidelines we've heard for years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the 150 minutes of moderate cardio or 75 minutes of vigorous activity per week.
It does, yeah. Though the article is quite clear it isn't saying those guidelines are wrong, or that longer, steady activities like walking, cycling, or swimming aren't incredibly valuable. They absolutely are.
Right.
They offer benefits like stress reduction and endurance that VLE alone might not fully cover.
So it's not an either-or situation. It's not saying ditch your walks or bike rides.
Exactly. VILPA is presented more as this potentially powerful additional layer, or maybe even a crucial gateway for people who find it genuinely impossible to schedule those longer, dedicated exercise sessions. It introduces this newer thinking, as the article puts it, suggesting you can trigger many of these critical physiological adaptations in these small, intense packages if you prioritize the vigor, the intensity.
It really is saying the quality of the movement in that moment, the intensity, is potentially as impactful, maybe even more so in some ways, as the total quantity accumulated over a week, at least for certain health outcomes.
That seems to be the core insight emerging from this line of research. And for people who feel constantly pressed for time, that's incredibly encouraging news, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Okay, so let's talk practicalities. How can someone actually take this idea and put it into practice? It sounds like it's meant to be incredibly accessible.
That's really the beauty of it, I think. You don't need a gym membership or fancy running shoes or anything. And crucially, the intensity is relative. It's about what's vigorous for you. What gets your heart rate and breathing significantly elevated, even if it's only for that minute or so. For one person, that might be a very brisk walk up a steep hill. For someone else, who's maybe fitter, it might need to be sprinting up several flights of stairs.
So it's about pushing your own limits sensibly, not comparing yourself to an Olympic athlete or anything.
Precisely. The goal is simply to feel your heart pounding and your breath quicken, notably during that short burst. The article gives some really actionable everyday examples.
Like you mentioned, walking quickly whenever you can, especially if there's an incline involved.
Yeah.
Using hills to your advantage.
Yes. Or remember the grocery bags, carrying them like you're genuinely late for something important. Putting that speed and purpose into it, not just strolling.
Taking stairs 2 at a time, perhaps, if you're able to do that safely and comfortably.
That's another good one. Or even just simple bodyweight movements you can do almost anywhere, like at home during a TV ad break. The article suggests doing maybe 30 seconds of fast squats or lunges or step-ups using your bottom stair, just enough to get the heart rate up quickly and feel the muscles working.
And the magic, it seems, according to this research, is that even these seemingly minor things, when done vigorously and sprinkled throughout the day or week, they accumulate. They add up to potentially deliver those significant health benefits the study found.
That's the key message, really. Don't dismiss the power of these short, intense bursts. They count.
Are there any quick things to keep in mind? Safety, obviously, must be one.
Always, yes. The article touches on this. If you have any underlying medical conditions, particularly heart issues, or if you're completely unused to any form of physical exertion, it's definitely wise to have a quick chat with your doctor before intentionally adding vigorous bursts into your day.
Makes sense.
It's about smart, sensible exertion that pushes your limits, but doesn't push you over the edge.
Yeah.
Don't go from zero activity to trying to, sprint up a mountain on day one.
Good advice. Gradual progression if needed. And even though they're short bursts, does recovery still matter in some way?
Well, it's not like needing a full recovery day after a marathon, obviously, but yes, just briefly. Like any intense activity, your body benefits from a little time to recover and adapt between bouts. You wouldn't, and probably couldn't, do flat-out sprints all day long. These bursts should feel challenging in the moment, and then you return to your normal activity level afterwards. Your body handles the recovery naturally.
Okay, so let's zoom back out then. If you had to boil it down, what's the biggest takeaway from this article, this research on VILPA?
I think the bottom line is incredibly encouraging, really. It's that you don't necessarily need to dedicate huge chunks of your valuable time to structured exercise to reap some very serious health rewards. While other forms of movement are absolutely still vital,
Right, it's not the only thing.
not at all. But VILPA seems to offer a viable path to significant benefits, especially regarding cardiovascular health and lowering mortality risk, mainly by focusing on intensity delivered in these manageable, bite-sized pieces throughout your normal day.
It's a powerful reminder that movement is medicine, isn't it? And maybe even small doses, if they're potent enough, can have a really big effect.
Exactly. The emerging insight here, the shift in thinking, is that how you move specifically, the vigor or intensity you bring to it, might matter just as much, if not more, in certain contexts like preventing heart disease, than simply how long you move for. It sort of democratizes vigorous activity. It makes it accessible to almost everyone.
That shift in perspective is huge. It really reframes the whole idea of fitting in exercise. It stops being about finding an hour you don't have and starts being about finding maybe 60 seconds here and there that you do have.
Small, consistent efforts adding up over time to potentially significant, maybe even life-changing gains. That's the promise that's highlighted in this research anyway.
Okay, well, that leaves us with something pretty profound to think about, actually, pulling from the final lines of the article we looked at. The next time you find yourself faced with one of those simple everyday choices like, do I take the lift or the stairs? Do I park right by the door or a little further away? How might this idea of going short, hard, and healthy, just for a minute, change your perspective on that exact moment?